What is going on, Polestar fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to give you a good overview of what the data points are saying behind the scenes and given the circumstances right now where Polestar might be going in the short term. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get right to it. So when it comes to Polestar, it is currently down about 1%, give or take, $3.19 as the intraday low. But when it comes down to it, there's been no fundamental news behind the scenes, so just be aware of that. But I think right now, given Polestar's price and their actual operational results, I think it is starting to get the attention of a lot of bigger names, such as even Ross Gerber. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of him, but he recently did say that they do have a great set of cars, great backing, and a great business plan. So even him, he really likes Polestar, and I think that is a very good representation of people's perspective on Polestar. A lot of people like EVs. They like, for instance, Polestar because it has a global aspect. It has a global touch. It's one of the only two pure global EV plays other than Tesla. So I think this is why Polestar is a very good investment, especially if you are a numbers individual like myself. Because for instance, looking at a lot of the multiples, currently the next 12 months for the PS is 1.8. You're paying absolutely nothing. Like there's basically no additional premium placed on Polestar versus the future forecast. So in general, that's just crazy. Even the current one right now is 2.8. And just to put it in perspective, Tesla, I believe, is around 7 or 8. And then there is Lucid. I think even Lucid in among itself is at 4.2. So it goes to show Polestar is just completely hammered beyond any belief. And like I've said in the past, even looking at the Morningstar report, the fair market value is $5.42. So even in that regard, it's seen as a very good rally. So I'm going to go over some of the other data points behind the scenes and just put it in perspective on where things might be going from here. So on the actual chart, there's no real point in going through this because it is well below a lot of the pivotal moving averages. For the most part, it's just following the fib levels. And even in that regard, it's below the S3. So there's a lot of growth stocks out there that are currently trading between, for instance, the S2 and the S1, S3 and the S2. S3 and the S2 are kind of the bad health ones that are really needing a lot of debt. But then there is Polestar. Polestar is below the S3. So there is bad companies and then there is Polestar. It just does not make sense by any means. Like it's confusing the hell out of me. So of course, my apologies if I keep saying that this whole Polestar scenario does not make sense. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. And I guess on a side note, give yourself a shout out if you have been buying where you see things going. I really did buy quite a lot at $3.77. I know in theory, this will go back to normalization within the next couple months or potentially a couple quarters, but right now it's very much fearful. So this is the best time to really add to your position when there is a lot of fear and when there is a lot of blood in the market. So let me know your thoughts on that. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence at the end of the day. As far as options activity, you do see a lot more calls being purchased. So of course, there's a lot more upside anticipated. And looking here, a lot of people are buying, for instance, $5 calls and long-term ones as well. So between July and October-ish, that's where a lot of calls are being purchased today in particular. As far as secondary market, there isn't any transactions over $100,000 on the secondary market. As far as dark pool, I'll give you guys a quick overview of that. Similar kind of action, there is no transactions there. So unfortunately, I do see a little bit more of a issue going with Polestar, and that is big money doesn't necessarily want to get in. So like I said, there might be some fundamental reason that Polestar is just getting completely slammed because, for instance, right here, any stock that is below the S3 does have something fundamentally wrong with it. And like I said, stocks that are very much reliant on debt are between the S3 and the S2. So something very much bad is below S3. So it doesn't make sense with Polestar. But of course, like I said, who knows where things might be going in the potential short term. But when it comes down to the numbers don't lie. This is at a huge discount compared to a lot of stocks. And I think at the end of the day, once people start to realize that, then this is going to go up very, very fast. And you can tell that that based on, for instance, stochastic is currently at 6, which is considered very oversold. So if there's a good piece of news that is in fact specific to Polestar, then in general, this is where Polestar will be able to have a little bit more of a value rally as a result of that. And looking at momentum, a number of retail investors have just been getting out, it looks like ever since February the 8th, give or take. And of course, their actual earnings call didn't necessarily go the best as well. It didn't really indicate a lot of good transition into North America. And they did really cite the fact that the US dollar is so high. So not to play devil's advocate a little bit, but with all the fear that's going on in the States right now, with Powell really just printing a ton of money, that might incentivize Polestar to jump over to the States and advertise a little bit more and have a little bit more of a market share there, because with the US dollar going down, that's the only real reason what really kept Polestar out. So maybe that might be a little bit more backwards thinking potentially. And when it comes down to this, so I'm going to give you a quick update on the shorts. As I've said in the past, I don't see Polestar being a squeeze, but this is a good benchmark to see what the opposite individuals are doing, the ones that are thinking that it's going to go down. So short score is currently 65, utilization is at around 80, and currently they are increasing around 6,000 shares. So kind of small drop in the bucket, because overall there are 6.93 million shares being shorted, which works out to be about 2.67% of the free float. So like I said, behind the scenes, Polestar is not going to have a squeeze, because there's just not enough there on paper. But the fact that they are increasing today on a very much red day goes to show that they are anticipating a little bit more of a further downtrend. But of course, it is only 6,000 shares, and that's nothing. Cost to borrow average is around 16%. So of course, even in that regard, it's fairly low. So like I said, given the circumstances, I do see a little bit more of a bounce, hopefully because of either GDP numbers that are coming out on Thursday or PCE on Friday. And if so, then most likely it will have a little bit more of a bounce to around the $3.87 mark. So even though it is considered very much oversold and just doesn't make sense behind the scenes, there is certain support and resistance points. As soon as the stock does break one of these kind of support points, it immediately turns to resistance. So on the way back up, this $3.87 mark is going to be a very big resistance point. So of course, this is something just to factor into everything. And of course, we do have that central Bollinger Band, and then eventually around these at the $5 range. So let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. I think no matter what, a lot of the EV plays out there, you have to realize that it is a long-term game. A lot of these companies aren't profitable and won't be profitable until 2025, 26, and so forth. So in the short term, you just have to handle and be accepting a lot of volatility. So it is a waiting game at the end of the day, unfortunately. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. Give yourself a shout out, like I said, because I think you guys do deserve that if you have been buying during this time frame. So like I mentioned, I initially did buy, I believe it was at $4, and over here I bought in at $4.30, I think it was, or $4.50, and then I did sell some of my position up here. Recently bought back in at $3.77, but I'm holding because of course I feel that this is a little bit more of a tentative overreaction, and even at $3.77 I felt that it was at a significant discount, because looking at the numbers, it just doesn't make sense. But of course, like I said, these videos are for entertainment purposes only. And one final thing I just wanted to share with you, even though Polestar and a lot of other stocks are going down, take advantage of this promo with moomoo only up until March 31st. So a couple days left. All you have to do, click on the link in the description below or the comments, sign up, and just by signing up, you get one free stock. So it's completely free to do that. And each stock is valued up to $2,000. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. If you also want to throw $100 at the account as well, you do get 4 additional free stocks, and then over and above that, because of an additional promo, they give you 2 additional free stocks, one of which is AI, the other one is BBAI. So for $100 you get 7 free stocks. Take advantage of that. Link in the description below and also the comments. And without further ado, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Polestar.